Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing this morning? Good, good, good. I'm just moving something around here so we can go ahead and get started. It's 11 o'clock. I want to keep my word to y'all and be on time here for this. All righty. Forgive me, I'm in Savannah right now. We're down at the State County Commissioners training session. So we are here. We want to keep this moving. So I'm not going to hold everyone long. I want to just kind of give everybody kind of an update. Does everybody hear me okay? Want to make sure we're online and up good. Just thumbs up if you do. Great, thank you. Well,
Yes, sir.
First thing we want to do is with our new update is we want to make everybody aware and welcome our new commissioner, Dr. Lika Anderson, into the Board of Commissioners. So she started the first week meeting in Monday and she's hit the ground running. So we want to welcome her and look forward to working with her here in the future. As far as our gateway projects, our Valley Hill Battle Creek project is moving on. I know it's of a little bit of a disturbance to some people's lifestyles, and we're hoping we can get that through as quickly as possible. It's a several-year project, but we're going to move forward in actually making our community better. I want to thank everybody who came out and participated in our Willy Wonka Halloween event at the beach. We had a very, very good time and ended up doing more out there than we thought. We watched the Braves win their game after the movie. So we stayed out there in the cold weather and had a very good time. So I want to thank all those that came out and participated. It was good just for the community to get together and just laugh and talk and have some good times. Update on the Noah's Ark apartment project. That project is scheduled to come before the board for decision this coming Tuesday. We've got some issues with them. We know a lot of folks do not want that. We have a traffic issue with them as well. They want to table it. I will listen to you all's concerns. I want to hurry up and move this project on, whether it's going to be here or not. But I want to listen to what you all have to say, and then I'll give you my opinion on it. The same thing with the McDonough Road development. That comes before the board this Tuesday as well. So we want to begin to look at them as well. We also are talking a lot about our redefining land use map for the county. And that's something that, to me, we really want the county involvement in. You all are the key stakeholders in this. And I want to hear what you all have to say about what you want in your county, what you want in your community, but also how do we transition from one community to another, and what does that really mean for us? So that's it for that. Our WorkSource Atlanta Regional virtual employer event went well. That was on in the end of October. That went well. Our Clayton County Home Buyer Seminar was just an immense success. They came in and they actually qualified, I think, 2 individuals that day for home. So that was great as well. So our next gift, I'm gonna let you all know, for our Small Business Expo is Saturday, December 4th from 10 to 2. We're going to try to get some more vendors out there that are more or less the holiday shopping related. So we're still working on that. But if you all have small business in the area, this is what this is for, is to really promote your business. But we want to stay on the framework of get fit from a financial and health perspective. So we're going to go with that. As far as our updates, I'll give you a quick updates. Our ARPA funds, we were allocated $66 million from the federal government. We're getting that in two distributions. We've gotten one of about 33, we'll get another one of $33 million sometime, probably late 2022. So we're going to go around with that. Our CARES Act money, that was a great success here in the county. We used about $1 million for rental assistance and about 8.6 million on utility assistance and COVID-related issues and items for our employees and for the community. So with that, I'm going to now get into it. Is Mr. Hodges on from Parks and Rec? And if not, I see you, Chief. We'll go straight into our PD.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, all. I hope everybody's doing well. I'll be brief and I'll turn the floor over to my 2 captains as they have information specifically pertinent to the area. But just to speak to overall crime, in the last 4 weeks since December 10th, we've seen a 20.3% decrease in overall crime, violent crime, compared to the same time last year. That's great. But what I'm not happy about is our homicides. We've had a total of 38 thus far. We had a total of 35 for all of 2020. But what's key out of that statistical information is still the majority of those homicides are persons known to each other, 64%. And that's usually either spouses or intimate parties or folks that are friends that no longer want to be friends, or folks that interact on a regular basis. Those things are hard to stop. We will continue our messaging as a county in reference to being safe with our interactions. But overall violent crime in Clayton County continues to trend down. And now I'd love to hear from Captain Flynn and then Captain Maddox in that order on their respective areas of concern.
Good morning. Thank you, Chief. Mirroring what the chief said, a lot of the other crimes, even though we've seen some spikes in some areas, the crime tends to be people that are known to each other, even, vehicle thefts, some of the burglaries, things like that we've been having that seem to have increased, have also increased because, an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever, decides to go back and remove things from somebody's house. One area that I've seen in the last couple of weeks is homes under renovation. There's been a number of those that we've had thefts or burglaries from those. So I would just ask that, if there is a home that in your neighborhood or your community, kind of keep an eye on that. We know who normally comes and goes from those residences. And, if you see something that's unusual, or even if it's not unusual, but you feel some kind of way about it, do not hesitate to call us so we can come out there and check it out. With the holidays approaching, of course, traditionally, things like burglaries, entering autos and thefts, package thefts, things like that are on the increase. I've already consulted with Officer Deason from our community affairs in reference to pushing out some messaging for the community in reference to just being aware, as far as your packages and things like that. There are hubs that you can have packages delivered to instead of having them sitting on your porch and, increasing the possibility of thefts and things like that. Don't leave valuables and items, just like all the time, but especially now with the holidays coming, people tend to sometimes leave Christmas presents in their car to keep them hidden. And, we do tend to see an increase in those type of thefts and those type of areas. And again, to what I was saying about the residential burglaries and the homes under renovation, just be aware of your community and your neighbors, and everybody look out for each other. And if you see anyone or anything suspicious, do not hesitate to call us so we can come out there and, try to sort out what's going on. And I think that will help towards reducing some of that. But it is that season that basically through the end of the year from now, that traditionally those type of things, the thefts, the entering autos and burglaries, do tend to increase. So we need the community's help. We're out there doing as much as we can, but we can't be everywhere at once. So any help that anybody can provide as far as information or what they see will greatly help us. And that's what I have for now.
Great. Captain Flynn, can you give us do you have a list of some of the hubs if folks are shopping on Amazon? I know that's a big thing now, of where these hubs are.
I don't have that right now, Commissioner, but I can get that, and I will put that, if you want, I'll send it to Ms. Harrod. And
yes,
that way we can get that pushed out. But I don't have a list of the hubs right now, but I can get that.
Fine. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'll let Chief. We have is this it,
Captain Maddox is on deck.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, one of the hubs, sir, is actually up on Riverdale Road at the QT.
Okay.
But outside of that, I'm not clear of any others that are in the area. Just to add to what Captain Flynn just did a great job of taking everything I was going to talk about and spilling out ahead of me. But one of the things that we see on the Ring cameras is kids a lot of times are just walking down the street in the middle of the night, just walking up the car doors and grabbing on the car doors. So people simply just lock their doors. And the thing that's really spiked, almost half of our gun thefts are actually coming on entering autos. People will take their guns out of their cars, we always talk about valuables and things like that, but people still will leave their weapons in their cars, and that's really become an issue specifically in my part of the of your district. That's about all I can add, because Captain Flynn once again did an outstanding job of taking everything from me.
Well, can you tell folks, Captain Maddox, what area you are serving so they know?
I'm the Sector 2 Precinct Commander, which is the northwest portion of the county, College Park, Riverdale, and then going down into Old Roundtree Road, that area down off of Terra Boulevard. And I get to drive to work every day. I think I've told you this before, up Terra Boulevard every day, watching the lovely construction, because I live down here in the south end of the county in your district. And then on Valley Hill Road as well, get to see the brand new bridge as it's being built.
Yes. Well, thank you. And also too, I want to thank all of our first responders for what they do. We've lost 2 officers here in our state, I believe, in the last week. Is that true, Chief?
That's accurate, yes.
That's Chief. And you know what? We overlook what they do and the harm's way that they come in every day. So I want to say personally, for myself, to you all, not as a commissioner, but as a citizen, thank you for what you do. And thank you for just putting yourself in the way to keep us safe and to keep our community safe.
Well, Commissioner, I want to thank you for giving Captain Maddox an opportunity to provide any explanation as to why he might be late for any of my meetings. He quoted a bridge on Valley Hill. He quoted construction on Terra Boulevard. I am clear, Captain Maddox. I appreciate you.
Yes, it'll only be for about another 3 years.
I'll close with this. The captains hit on great topics, and I want to add one more. When they talk about young men and women canvassing the neighborhoods for property and vehicles, I want to encourage our citizens, do not engage these young folks during the nighttime darkness hours. Many of them are armed. All we need you to do is call. I know emotionally it's frustrating to watch something like that, but we've had occasions where citizens have attempted to engage and have been recipients of gunfire. So all of these folks aren't just young, innocent kids meandering through looking for property. Some of them are armed. My first concern is the citizens' welfare. Please, please, please be a good witness and call 911.
Thank you. Great. I thank you for that update. I believe we have, I'm looking through.
This is Judy
Ms.
Taylor. Could I have something for the chief and for Captain
Yes,
Flynn?
ma'am.
All right. I have a question about the noise that comes from all of these cars that up and down Terra Boulevard and Mount Zion. They make so much noise that we can hear them all over our neighborhood and everything all day and all night. And we have an ordinance that prohibits the modification of these exhausts and things like that. And we also have a noise ordinance and everything too. And it seems like it's gotten worse since they had the project over at the mall where they allowed them to come and make all that noise. It scared most of us half to death because we didn't know what was going on, and it made so much noise it sounded like gunfire going off over there until we figured out, sent somebody over to see what was happening. And the point is, when they leave something like that, they make all the noise right there, but they continue to make the noise as they leave the property, and they still liked it so much they're still continuing to make the noise and to modify these vehicles and everything too. Is there anything that can be done about this? I know it's not as serious as a major crime, but it's a very much an annoyance, and it's getting worse and worse because more and more of the young people and whoever might be interested in doing this, they're getting more and more of that. And this is a serious issue for up and down Terra Boulevard, along Mount Zion, and that entire area.
Well, Ms. Taylor, I always appreciate your leadership, and nothing is too minor for the police department when it comes to quality of life. Now, the issues you describe are extremely challenging for officers to just identify and locate upon request by citizens, because you and I both know what normally happens is when we get there, they're gone. Now, I always advocate for citizens to embrace technology at all times. If they can get us tag numbers, vehicle descriptions, and even video, that is great evidence that can be given to the law enforcement officer so we can do a follow-up and take action a little bit later. But in reference to the events you described that was held in the city of Morrow, we actually allocated extra resources that weekend to hopefully reduce any agitation of Clayton County residents. And that's our plan all the time. We meet weekly, and when we get intelligence of those type of events taking place, we reallocate resources to help those folks get encouraged to leave the county quickly after the event is over. So those are the steps we are taking and will continue to take when those events occur. If you would, please encourage your co-residents to try to gather that evidence we need. Y'all can funnel that directly to Captain Flynn and Captain Maddox, and I'm sure they got some hard charges that will be glad to follow up with the appropriate research if they have good evidence.
Thank you very much. I appreciate anything you can do, because it is truly, it's almost scary when you go out in your yard and you hear all the backfires and things and you think they're gunshots and they're making noise 24 hours a day. It almost never stops up there. And so, and it's a problem in the neighborhood when we try to tell people to get the information you need and everything else too. Like you say, they come and go so fast. They drive in, they do what they got to do when they get out, or they come out of the neighborhood and leave. You can't get the information. It's very difficult to come up with, as you're saying, to come up with the information you need in order to handle each individual problem with this issue too. So I'd appreciate just anything you can do. It's always appreciated.
We can also coordinate our resources, because I was going to ask you about a time frame, but you said all the time. So I'm looking at Captain Flynn's face and I know his wheels are turning and he'll adjust strategically.
And it's not so much just in the neighborhood, because we have residents that do the same thing, make all this noise and leave out of here and go fast too, and people that come in and out off of Terra Boulevard. But just if you're out and around in your yard or anywhere out there and you listen, any time of the day or night, it's going on up on Terra Boulevard, and you can hear it all the way to Mount Zion and towards the mall and all up and down through there. And you can sort of hear when they start up from south, head north, and you can hear them going all the way, make the turn, get on Mount Zion. You can sort of judge where they all are almost the entire time they're making so much noise.
Thank you for that information, Ms. Taylor, and I'm sure the captains will put a plan together to address that issue.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. Also, too, I forgot to mention our update on our the board approved a site for our new government facility, which is going to be over on 112 Smith Street. I know some of you all heard that we will be demolishing the two buildings next to it, which one of them is the library. What we do want to let everyone know is that we are going to still have a library in Jonesboro. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that a library is not going away, as many have been passing the word on a lot of our social media sites. So now, do we have anybody from library that wants to speak on that? If not.
Commissioner Davis, I'm not from the library, but I do have a question. This is Janice
Sure.
Arcuria.
Hi, Ms. Jones.
I understand completely why the old library building needed to be demolished, not only to make room, but that had serious infrastructure and health problems in the building. I am happy to hear that you're looking for another location for the library, because what I had heard was that all that was going to be replaced with was a 3,100 square foot library element in the new administration building, which would hardly replace that library. So could you clarify, please, that they are looking for a location that is not just a little mini library element in that new administration building?
Right now, one of the concepts that has been discussed is putting a library within the new building. Right now, we've not even designed that building out. So any square footage numbers or concept plans, or any square footage numbers or design issues have not been formulated as of yet. Right now, everything is in concept. We know we need a new government building, government center, and that's going to begin to save our county and taxpayers a lot of money, because we have a lot of different buildings around. But what I want to do for us is to begin to look and say, hey, what does the new library of today look like? It is not it is not like the library of old that we went to, where we went to the drawers, pulled the card, went to 105 CK Row to pull out the book. We now know we have internet involved. We have a lot of other things involved, but we also have to look at the social dynamics of what a library is meant for as well. And we want to begin to maintain those as well. So right now, we are in a concept building mode, And hopefully well, not hopefully, but we will begin to bring in those that I say are the library literate folks to really let us understand what this library needs from a programmatic view.
If I could also comment, I believe your Northwest Library is a good example of what today's library can provide with a lot of the modern services that it provides. I do want us to understand that many studies do show that although people are heavily using all the electronic services, the Wi-Fi and everything else, that the readership of actual print materials is actually on the rise. I think all of us spend most of our days on the computer. And sometimes we want to break from the computer when we're reading and doing things like that. We prefer a different format. And a lot of us, and studies back this up, have gone back to the book and print format. So
Yeah.
I think there's just tons of libraries, as you know, across the country that have repurposed themselves even from existing buildings that are very, very modern. In my hometown in Olathe, Kansas, they took a grocery store. They made a wonderfully modern library with maker spaces, nice huge cafe, teen spaces, a music center for the youth primarily to use. So there's just lots of ways that can serve the community. But I just want to make sure that it's not just a place to pick up books or to log on a computer and look for jobs.
Understand. And that's point well taken. And let me tell you, in fact, it's good because I just went online to order 2 books to read just yesterday. So I understand where you're going, but let me also elaborate this. This is why I think these community meetings are so important. You just enlightened me to a repurpose kind of dynamic for a library, which is something I didn't know about. And that's what we need these community forums to be, is to gain knowledge so that we can all work together and just use me as a conduit in order to make some of these ideas come to fruition. So I thank you for that information.
And I will send you some email links to some articles and photos from that library that I've personally visited. It's very nicely done.
Great. And also CC Ms. Harad on those as well.
Thank you. I will.
All righty. Okay, do we have anybody else? Because this is where we're going now. And I'm glad she came up with that. Couple of things that I want to begin to discuss, and now it's time for you all to talk and me to listen and to write. 2 things I want to go over. The first one is our trash collection. We know this has been of a loud issue and getting louder throughout the last year or so. And I want to hear you all's views on it. And then I'm going to tell you mine after I hear it. But we have to begin to move forward with what we are or are not going to do with this matter. As far as I'm concerned, I've had 2 community meetings in the past about it, but I want to hear whether you're for it or against it and why. So I'll start with the first one, whoever wants to go. But I get on next door too, so I know some of you all are talking.
Well, this is Judy Taylor. You know, I'm always ready to give you my opinion and everything. I was waiting to give other people an opportunity, but I was going to tell you, and I'd already sent you email after email about this situation, is that something has to be done about the problem with the trash in the county. And you had the question one time, was wondering why on the survey, so many people that already were taking the trash pickup voted to approve that. And I sent you information about why. Because the real information is that we have at least 5 different companies coming into our neighborhood every week, picking up trash with their loud, noisy trucks and making a mess. Therefore, we have trash containers out on the street every day of the week. And they're not all that careful about how they pick up the trash or what they do with that too. So therefore, hopefully, if we only had pickup in the neighborhood one day, maybe for trash pickup, maybe one day for possibly for recycling information, that would help us too. And I see people
Taylor,
go ahead.
let me cut you off one moment here, and I apologize. What I want to hear first is, are you for it? Not how do we get it done? That's a key component in this, but I need to know if you're for it and why, and if you're not, why.
I'm very much for the county
Okay,
doing this to see how hopefully we'll do it and try it and see if it works. Hopefully it will work. It's already occurring in most of our cities. It's already occurring in many cities and places around the Atlanta area and everywhere else too. They already have been doing that for years and everything too. So I'm very much for doing this because I see some neighbors they pile their trash bags all on top of their cars and carry them up to the local business dumpster, and therefore they're filling up their dumpsters with their trash, and the dumpsters overflow and blow back down into the neighborhoods and everywhere else too. So hopefully if they're going to have to pay for this and have to have this done and actually going to have a trash container at their house, hopefully they'll use it and will not just go dump their trash on the side of the road, and will not dump their trash at the nearest business that happens to have a dumpster to overload them. There's many reasons why I feel like that we ought to try this and see what happens with it, whatever way. I don't know the best way to do this. Hopefully the county's doing their research on like companies and how we're going to pay for it and all those kinds of things too. But I think it's worth a try and that we ought to be making a plan, and the sooner the better, because we've been talking about this for a long time and the trash doesn't get any better. So on the side of the roads and everything else too, this will help, I do believe.
gotcha. Thank you. Anyone else want to follow?
Commissioner Davis, this is Janice Arcuria again.
Yes.
I am in favor of it if the rates are competitive, and also perhaps consider a senior discount, as some of the current company that I use, Waste Industries, offers that. So I think that would be a good, so we could reduce the number of trash trucks. I am not in favor of having it added to the property tax bills.
Gotcha.
And I also would like to see us have recycling pickup. I do go along with many others because there's always several cars there to the recycling location. Quite frankly, the recycling location sometimes looks like a mess because it hasn't been picked up for a while and all the huge receptacles are full and sometimes overflowing onto the ground or with bags on the ground. But it doesn't make, to me, sense for all of us to fire up our gas burning cars and to drive our stuff over to the recycling center when it could perhaps be picked up, as part of the trash pickup, and I think save some of that pollution.
Gotcha. Thank you. I'm jotting some of these notes down. Anyone else?
Good morning. This is Adrienne Smith, and I echo both of their comments. I am definitely for it, especially so that people aren't hesitant about putting out those larger items. Like, yeah, hey, I just replaced some blinds, so now I've got some blinds. Where do I put them in my regular trash? Do I have to take them to the dump? It'd just be nice that everything was handled. I came from DeKalb County, and you could put out sofa, furniture, a tree, anything, and the county would pick it up.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Smith. All you have to do is unmute yourself, people.
Sorry, this is Regina Bennett, and I live in Rex. I listen to your, I'm on your town hall meetings most of the time. I do agree with the ladies, and we have the same problem here. We do want the recycling and the trash pickup. We want because it's tearing our community streets with all of these trucks coming in. So I think it would be a positive thing for the county.
Great. Thank you.
And thank you for all you.
Thank you. And this is where we want to take this. I want to hear, who's for and who's against, but I want to hear why and the concerns, and this is what we need in order to move this forward as quickly and effectively as possible. Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Oh, I thought we had someone else coming on to speak. Okay. So I see we have 4 that are for it. Is anybody against universal trash pickup? No one? Wow, interesting. So the big thing is the multiple, multiple trash companies, and we want a recycling program. For me, and I'll tell you with me, is there anybody here on the call that does not have, has not contracted trash pickup for their own resident service? Anybody? So everyone on this call has contracted for residential trash pickup with someone, CLM, or one of the other companies, and I have as well. I vacillate back and forth between this. I just don't believe, one of my things is, I don't believe that we should press a homeowner who's keeping their residents clean and in proper order how to dispose of their trash. That's one. Two, because of a high rental population, I do believe that we need those folks that live outside of our metro area or even outside of Clayton County, and to enforce them to have trash pickup for their homes or for those rental, I call them rental units. So that's it. The big thing for me is, how do we pay for this? I don't want to see it added to your water bill, and I don't want to see it added to your taxes. That's how I feel about it. So how do we begin to come to some happy median? And that's what I'm trying to begin to figure out and listening to you all with this issue. So does anyone else want to go on this before we move on to the next one? And even if we have our code enforcement or folks out, because we also have to look at, once we mandate something, we now have to go back and monitor it. And that's putting another burden on our code enforcement and our other operations. Is that true, Chief?
That is true.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm already paying CycleWorks to come pick up my garbage. What is the cost going to be my annual cost to CycleWorks, whether I give it to CycleWorks or the county, somebody needs to do it. So how to pay for it? The citizens are paying for trash removal, but I guess it would be nice to know the data, because you seem hesitant. So is that only 50% of the residents have trash service, or, do 90% already pay for trash service? I mean, it's being paid for to some extent now, and I guess it would be nice to understand the economics of the current situation.
I understand. I tell you what I'll do. I'm making a note here now to pull that study that we had done to give those overall numbers to us all.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think, and you all, many of you all come on our community calls faithfully and regularly, and I truly appreciate what you do for that, because this is what our community needs. And I'm listening to you all. You all are diligent in what you do, but you're also responsible. What I usually see in driving up and down the streets when I have to make the call to Warden Nelson and our code enforcement is, I don't see large bags of trash. I usually see either trash that is just strewn all over the place and spewed all over a large part of the highway. I see a lot of your, what I call fast food item bags, things of that nature. But I don't see a lot of the, excuse me, the large trash bags in there. Now, I do see them occasionally, and I do see them that are split open and that trash is coming out. What are you all seeing, and where are you seeing them?
Commissioner Davis, this is Janice
Yeah.
Arcuri again. This is dated information because I've been retired for several years. But just like Judy Taylor said, before we started locking the huge trash dumpster behind the library, that dumpster would get filled by people who drove their trash there in pickup trucks and tossed it into our dumpster, so that the library didn't even have any room to put stuff in. So I assume from what Ms. Taylor says that is still going on a lot of commercial businesses who do not lock their trash containers. So I would think that seems to be a problem in a lot of areas, is people who are getting around not buying any trash pickup and just, and a friend of mine said their neighbors were doing that. They were literally filling their pickup truck in the driveway, and then when it got full, they would drive it off somewhere. So I think that is a major concern.
Right. Now, I have two businesses in Clayton County. One, I never have an issue with folks filling up my dumpster, and it's unlocked. The other one, occasionally I do. So I do understand both sides of that.
Yes, hello, it's Regina again.
Yes.
And the area that I live in, actually on the main road and up to 42, my husband and I actually go out and pick up the trash. We do see in county come out maybe once a month now. It used to be twice a month. So leave the prisoners out, pick up trash, and cut the grass along the road there. But we've seen them recently. But in between that time, we bought a bag for them, and it's ridiculous because our neighbor just doesn't deserve all trash. I don't understand people can't go down the way,
Understand?
for littering like this. We have the sign that says there's a fine for littering, but nothing's been done. If we could get a camera out there or something.
Well, I tell you, if you can, I make periodic drives through on a weekly basis around the area, Riverdale, Lovejoy and the others, and I will write them down. And then what I'll do is I mail them in. But also too, we've got a lot of citizens that will send us, if there's an area in need, please email us where that area need is, but kind of be as specific as you possibly can to myself
Okay.
or to Rod, and we'll go ahead and put that on our list and get code enforcement out. They're very, very good in turnaround time and getting out there to pick that up. So,
Okay.
so you have, use us as, because we're not where you are all the time. So please,
Correct.
you have to be our eyes as well.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Great,
Okay.
great.
And I'm a joint president here of community, so therefore, I've been more reason for me to get out there and make sure the
Well,
trash is not left there.
I thank you. I thank you. And moving on to the next one, which is I'm going to need Miss Wills, if she's online here, to help me with this as well. This whole trash issue is also a conduit, is an input to our economic development of how do we get folks in. We want to get new businesses in. We want to revitalize our county, and we want to do it the correct way. And I want Ms. Rocker Wills to speak about some of the programs that we're doing and how she's doing in inviting these companies in and trying to lure them into our county. But also, not only that, but what are some of the questions these folks ask so we know how we need to begin to prepare our county for them. Ms. Erica.
Yes,
Thank you.
on. Good morning, Commissioner
Morning.
and District 4 residents. Yes, I believe you were asking about how does the presence of trash and litter and all of that affect our ability to attract business, and just what image does it portray when we're out marketing the county. And I will say, and then, let me know if I need to add anything onto that. It is huge. I mean, something must be done about it. I think just about all of the district meetings that I have attended, a good portion, like upwards of 30% of each of those meetings deals with trash, litter, illegal dumping. And even I didn't realize it was the problem that it is. And so it has a huge impact. I even was in favor of getting super aggressive and finding some way to fine these people who are the violators that are doing it, like put out a big, huge press release campaign that we're not the dumping ground of non-Clayton citizens or even Clayton citizens to just, leave their garbage and refuse on the side of the road and in these inlets and places. I will say when we do tours of the county, and I just did 3 this past week, which were robust tours of prospects looking for 20 acres, one 150 acres, and then the other, we were looking at 10-acre sites. In those tours, I'm talking about the county and what our goals are and our citizenry, and then we talk about the site in particular. And if there is blight, I have to address that as we drive by, because I want to let them know what we're doing and that we are cognizant of being serious about making Clayton clean and beautiful as we try to attract enterprise and business. So it matters on down to just your regular homeowners that have junk cars in the yard. I mean, all of it matters because people are scouting our community when they're with me and when they are not. And so I just will say, from an economic development standpoint, I'm happy to see the commission do something to take a serious stance to whatever will help reduce illegal dumping and garbage in unsightly places in the county.
Great, great. And that's where we have to go with this. Yes, the Board of Commission did get rid of the Keep Clayton Beautiful department program that we had. We need something in this county to begin to aggressively take care of these issues, or I should say address these issues. We will never 100% get rid of trash. There's no community in America that will, but we can try to get as close to that as we possibly can. And what I also want to say with that, as far as planning and economic development, what I'd like to do is take, and I would love for you all to begin to help me out with this. I want to take some individuals from each part of the community and create almost a community planning unit to where you all could say, this is what we want in this county, and this is how we want to develop it developed. We have certain areas that are high density. We have certain areas that are low density. And we have a lot of different type of cultural basis and from a homeowners and business perspective. And I want to use folks in both the upper north side of District 4, I'll call it the Riverdale area, Morrow area, down all the way down to Lovejoy. But I'd like to put 3 or 4 of these units together and say, hey, how should we begin to define these? And how do we want to transition them from a land use perspective so that we can, through what we talked about earlier, the land use map, begin to put forth a land use map and a proper zoning in order to move our county forward, where we can present that to developers and they can say, hey, I like that. Let me look at coming into this area for it. So I'd really like to see what you all think about doing that and helping us move forward with that. Would anybody be willing to volunteer? Whoa,
Commissioner Davis, this is Janice Arcuria. I probably would if it wouldn't be meeting a lot, you know, if the meetings aren't extremely frequent. And then I want to follow up with a question, and this might be more of a code enforcement question, but we do have in the neighborhood someone whose business is trash pickup. But the problem is, I think when they pick up somebody's stuff in the evening, they will park their trailer beside the house, you know, beside the driveway. And then it'll probably be gone the next day. So if you were to call code enforcement, they wouldn't be there, but it's something we'd rather not see. That's been communicated to them, but I don't know what the best way to handle such situations are because they are a licensed business.
Right. I think I've gotten a couple of calls on that, and I've actually driven over by the beach in the beach area.
It's on the backside in Foxfire.
Right. Yes. And I've driven by a couple of times. I've never seen the trash there when
I can let you know the particular property, and it's not that we wish to be, it's not, we don't wish to be unfriendly neighbors. It's just that you kind of don't want to drive down your street and see a couch in a trailer, you know, parked beside the house or something, you know, you'd rather not have that. It might lead to other neighbors thinking that they could keep stuff out and stuff.
I understand. Yeah, we've gotten that information and we're trying to address that. Like I said, I've even driven by that property. Unfortunately, I've not seen anything. Well, fortunately,
that's the thing is it's very hard to monitor that because it will be there some days and not others, and more towards the end of the day.
Right.
Maybe they don't have time to go to the dump to get rid of it. Dump might be closed or something.
I understand. Well, at least they're not dropping on the street. So let's look at it from that.
Oh no, they're not doing that.
Okay. Well, we'll keep our eye on that. Would anyone else?
I have a question about what you
Sure.
just mentioned. Can you provide more details on what is required? I'm driving, so I'm a little distracted.
That's fine. No, all I want to do is to create a couple of committees in the area that will assist not just me, but all of our residents in trying to really get a land use map that is created by our stakeholders. And our stakeholders are our citizens. And we want to make sure that we are moving this community forward in a fashion that you all see fit, that is conducive not only to how you live, but your quality of life and all that goes with that. So That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for someone to meet, on a weekly basis or monthly basis. I would like to do this 2, 3 times, maybe 4 times a year, where we would just get together and just say, look, this is where we want to go. This is how we want our community to move. I know if we go over to another district in Rex, they've got a lot of warehousing issues going on over there. We've got a lot of blighted communities going on in District 4. But the question becomes, how should that area be defined? And once it's defined, we can begin to put that in our land use map, create the proper zoning, and from a strategic plan, begin to move forward. So when developers do come in here and Ms. Rocker Wills begins to bring them, if they're looking to do, activity A, they can go over to the area that is conducive for. If they're looking to do activity Y, they can come over to the area that's conducive to that as well. So that's what we're looking to do, just to more or less a group that gets together and just talks about our quality of life and what we want to see.
Thank you. I wouldn't mind being in that
Great.
group. I actually know Miss Janice. I live in Foxfire, and
Okay.
I had, this may already exist, but regarding the trash, how do we have a method like a certain text code 36340 when you observe whatever going on versus something, the information is gathered. So for example, if I'm leaving a neighborhood and I see license plate Romeo Lima Delta 649, throw trash out the window, it's like, boom, got it. Just witnessed this. So I don't know what use that would be, but okay. So what you have a license plate, time of day, where it happened, but maybe that.
Well, one, you can go to Click Clayton. You can go to Click Clayton and begin to do some things with that as well. Chief, do you want to address that, or Captain Flynn or someone, do you want to address that as well?
Actually, my response was going to be Click Clayton as the repository for sending that information quickly, and it gets forwarded to code enforcement. But if you're following them or you're passing that individual, it's worth making a call to 911. We may have an officer close by who can respond immediately. Code enforcement will get that information from Click Clayton a little bit later, and they might not be able to respond as promptly as a 911 call.
Gotcha.
Okay, I just didn't think 911 was suitable for reporting trash out the window, but okay.
Well, you're observing an active littering violation, which could be result in a citation issued from an officer. So yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
But let's also remember this: let's not text and drive.
He is correct.
Of course not.
Okay.
This is Adrienne Smith again. Question: are there existing land use maps that are available to the public already? I guess because when I'm on Nextdoor, my neighbors, I think transparency about what is going on seems to be their issue. Everybody's like, oh, look, this just popped up. And maybe it's a communication plan that is needed if things are already in existence. And then if they are not in existence, I think the neighborhood planning units would be a good idea, but also that the fact that there's going to be increased transparency about what is going on around us would soothe a lot of people, calm them down, I guess.
I think you're correct. And from a communication standpoint, yes, our government, which I'm a part of now, has failed us a little bit in putting forth that information. So I'm glad you do say that. I'll look at beginning to push that information forward to where we can see a land use map. I know I have not sent the land use map to anyone since I've been a commissioner. So I guess that's something that is now up on the agenda to get done.
Commissioner Davis, do you mind if I make a comment on that? Okay, yeah. It's the Community Development Department that oversees the updating of our comprehensive land use plan. It has to be done by law every 5 years. And so they will just now be starting, I think in January, the meetings to do this next 5-year update. So this is a good time for you to be bringing this up to your constituents and everybody to chime in, because those meetings will start, and there'll be all kinds of public meetings of chiming in, but it is county-wide. It's not just District 1, but it is required by ARC that we have that on file. And they will end up publishing that on the county's website under community development. So you'll be able to see it.
Great, great. And that's what we need. I think what we also have to do is, one thing they did say is we don't want to overload with information. So it is my thought that we do give them perhaps just the land use, color coded or something to where we can go for it, something simplified that folks can say, okay, this is kind of where we go. And for those that want to dig deeper, they can. So we're gonna begin to move forward with that. So I thank you both for those comments.
One more comment about that.
Sure.
Having to go to know that that's a thing that a county does, that a county government does. I don't think that that's the first thought of my friends and neighbors. I would like the county to use Twitter, to use Nextdoor, and go ahead and involve and I guess here's what maybe a mini civics lesson, but not as a lesson, but kind of as you rolling out in tweets or whatever, so that everybody has a higher understanding of what they can impact and what's going on and when and the timelines. I guess, again, because I think when you look at the comments on Nextdoor, everybody's a surprise. It's like, wait a minute, all of a sudden the trees are gone. What's happening? And, I knew that, you've been talking about expanding Battle Creek for forever, but it isn't until the community sees something and then they feel all of a sudden that is happening without their input. So somewhere along the line, in terms of doing it kind of the traditional governmental way, there needs to be some in this 2021 information age way to ensure that people are engaged. And I think that when people become engaged, the issues such as trash, because if we are a community that signals that we pick up the trash, we care about how it looks because the county picks up the trash, then people who don't want that to happen will go elsewhere, will live elsewhere. So I guess I would like to see some more about kind of bringing everybody along on the same level.
Understand. And I hear you, and I understand what you're talking about. You want the information on the grassroots level that we'll call it the common person can look at and say, hey, I now have an idea of what's going on and how I can become engaged in making positive changes for my community.
Correct.
And using those mediums that you all use, not the ones that we think you should come use.
Right. I want it to be a push. You push it out as opposed to pull. Me have to come to the county and find it.
That's what we need to, and I thank you for that information. This is the information that I have to have in order to move to more effectively work for you. So I thank you for that.
Commissioner Davis. Yes, this is Judy Taylor again. I would be glad to give input to anything that you have going on with all that. As you well know, I always have input of some kind or another, whether we like it or not. But anyway, I do and everything, but I just don't go to a whole lot of meetings. I like the Zoom meetings because I don't have to be out in the evenings and go around and about. But I had a question talking about economic development. I do understand that there are going to be some changes up on Terra Boulevard with possibly some street lights and some improvements up in that area too. But if we don't take care of these shacks that are up there that pose as car repair businesses and things that are from where we start up there when you get off of 75 and come down Terra Boulevard, and you get past down towards Chick-fil-A and you get below them, all these cars that are wanting to be repaired are lined up right along Terra Boulevard. There's shacks on the side of the road, look like they're falling in, that are car repair businesses. If that's what people see, is if they're considering coming into the county and they see how we keep up our businesses and what we have here, they're not going to come in and put their business anywhere around there or do anything else until we do something. There has to be a way. We've talked about this for so many years. I can't even believe how many years we've talked about trying to get rid of some of these tire places, these car replaces, these used car lots, these shacks, buildings that look like they're falling in, that they're using for car repairs, repair businesses around North Carter Drive, that whole area and there. So, this is the gateway. People come down through here. That's what they see. We have to do something with making improvements in those main areas like that.
Correct. We understand, and that's part of the plan. That's part of putting all this together. It's not a matter of just what we want to see. It's how do we begin to put a plan that we can execute in place. So yes, we hear you loud and clear, and we've spoken to code enforcement, and we've spoken to community development and economic development on what we have to do to get that done. So we are aggressively going to go after that.
And I want to mention too, since you brought it up before about the Noah's Ark Thornton Road zoning that will be on the agenda for the board meeting on November 16th, which is Tuesday night at 6:30 on Smith Street. But anyway, because we all need to keep an interest in what's going on currently under the conditions we have at this time, we have to be aware of what is happening. And there's a lot of rezoning things coming up. And we're building a lot of townhouses and apartments all over the county. But in this particular issue, there's such a concern. I have not heard from any person. You bring that up and they say, you've got to be kidding me, that they want to put I don't know exactly because the information is very difficult to come by, but they're still saying 190 something townhouses down in that area of Noah's Ark, which is already having such issues with infrastructure and traffic and all the other issues. So anybody that's concerned about it, we have been working on this since July. This first came up in July and here it is in November. And it's obvious that this is not something that is needed in that area. So I'm hoping that people will come to the meetings or let you know how they feel about it, whatever way they feel about it and everything.
Yes.
People tried to come at the last meeting. They couldn't get in the building because it was going to be overcrowded and everything too. And then of course it wouldn't have mattered because it was tabled once again.
Correct.
So hopefully something can be resolved.
Well, we want to begin to move this on as quickly as possible. Yes, I do get information about that and people's feedback on that. They want to table it again. I want to begin to bring this to an end. It looks like it possibly will be tabled, honestly. So that's what we're going to move on with that. But yes, that's the whole purpose of me beginning to put together these community kind of groups to where we can go with that.
Why is it they can table every time without giving a reason? There should be a reason given of what is the issue and everything.
Their reason is they would like to do more research and begin to figure out what else they can offer. And so I've told them if they're going to table this will be the last table.
Well, the trouble is, if they're having this much trouble with just getting this information out there, which is very little information, and it seems to be changing constantly, if they're having this much trouble with it, what kind of trouble would they have when they actually got around to, if they were approved and got around to having the development? So I think there's a big concern about worrying about that issue too.
Okay, well, and I will take that in consideration as well. Thank you. We're getting toward the end. Anyone else?
Hi,
Yes.
my name is Lisa. I'm a resident of Clayton County since 1975. Lived in the same house since 1975. I would like to talk a little bit about possible development behind Suter Elementary, the forest back there and the woods back there. We just saw a sign. I live on a dead end street and there's a lot of long timers here, a lot of senior people that live on the street, probably less than 30 houses. And, of course, we're used to it's very quiet and peaceful. And then we like to access the forest back there just for nature walks and things like that. And then we see, a lot of bulldozing going on. And a sign that says there's going to be a rezone meeting there, and we're freaking out about it.
Well, no, speaking of not knowing what's going on, I simply discovered that sign days after the initial meeting was supposed to happen. And go ahead.
Is that City of Jonesboro?
Yeah, it's City of Jonesboro. And we live, right off the street. Yeah, it backs into, it's like Stately Oaks, middle school and Suter Elementary.
Correct.
They want to put 66 single family unit homes there and the last green space in the area. So I don't know where the wildlife will go, but.
Right. That is something the City of Jonesboro is under. That falls outside of our jurisdiction as county.
Okay.
So more or less.
When I called up there, they said that there was issue with, it was half of, some of it is Jonesboro and some of it is Clayton County. And that's what there's issue there.
Okay. I will take a look at that. And I will call the city manager of Jonesboro Monday morning.
Thank you.
Okay. And if you could send myself and Denise Harrod an email pertaining to that with your name and phone number? So that
Absolutely.
I can get back to you as quickly as possible.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. And
Commissioner Davis, following up on that, yesterday on Walt Stevens, and it's right before the former Walker property, there was a zoning sign, but there was so much words on it, and pardon my aging eyes, but it was so small. I think it said zoning meeting, but I, without screeching to a halt, couldn't figure out what the meeting was going to be about. I did see an under contract sign on the Walker property for sale sign, so maybe it's pertaining to that. Can you tell me what is that, a zoning thing coming up for that?
I cannot. When I left town on Thursday, it wasn't there. So
Yeah, I just noticed it. I don't go out that much anymore with the pandemic, but I just noticed it for the first time. I think it was yesterday or the day before, but literally there are so many words on that sign. I couldn't tell what it was about, but I thought it was zoning.
I will be back in town Monday, and I have to go right by there to get home. So I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, it's right where
Walker Nursery, old Walker Nursery.
yeah, it's that street that goes, down to right at the intersection where it goes down to Jodico Road. The signs are right there at Walt Stevens and that street that goes down there.
Understand. Okay. Thank you for that.
That street is Camp Road.
Yes.
Thank you.
Also wondering, speaking a little bit on that, is there a way that we can limit the words on a sign? I have literally circled back, pulled over, and taken out my phone to take a picture of signs because they have so many words on them.
I brought that up. We have modified those signs one time, and I'm bringing it up to modify them again. All I want on that sign is a place, a date, and what it is.
And maybe a QR code?
Even driving 25 miles an hour, you can't read all of that.
Right. And maybe a QR code if I want to stop and come back and get all the information that you would like the public to have.
We could take a look at that. I've never thought about putting a QR code on those signs for that, but yeah, that's an idea. That's an idea.
And Commissioner, if I could just add in there, the zoning meetings are back in person now at the Charlie Griswold Center. So residents can attend and hear those cases, hear what's being proposed, hear how it's discussed and voted on. I'm not sure a Zoom option is going to be offered going forward, but I do know that they're back in person.
Great. And also, to speaking of that, we want to begin. I've gotten a lot of comments, several comments about having our community meeting back in person. What I am going to do is we'll probably go back to person after the first of the year, but I am going to always keep Zoom on this. That is going to be the new normal for our community meetings, where we'll be in person and Zoom as well. Is that okay for everybody?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, anything else we have that anybody wants to add? I know we've gotten past the 12 o'clock hour, and I always try to keep my word in having our community meetings 1 hour.
Well, I just wanted to say a few words, if I could, from the Office of Economic Development. I know I jumped in to answer that pointed question you had about the trash and things, but just wanted to let everybody know that the Board of Commissioners did approve our master plan for Mountain View, which is the area just across from the Maynard-Jackson International Terminal. So that land now is poised and ready with something on the books approved that we can aggressively try to fill in and fill out the plan, which dissects the land into areas that's zoned for retail, office, industrial, and entertainment. So that's good, and that's a milestone. That's been needing to be done for a long time. And so that is prime real estate for the county, and we're looking forward to some good projects of visibility going there. The Board of Commissioners also approved our Economic Development Strategic Plan, which was updated and presented early in the summer, like in July, but now it's officially approved and adopted by the Board of Commissioners. So that is good stuff. And in it does address many of these things that come out in these meetings, from the community look, talent, labor, housing, types of businesses, et cetera. I will state that we'll be starting with our ARPA funds, some small business classes that are coming out in January. So stay engaged and listen. You know, economic development has our social media handles, but this will all be on chamber and county sites as well. But they will be classes for entrepreneurs that are fledglings and just budding, and also for sophisticated business owners. But you'll get a chance to register and see what those are about. And we're using ARPA funds to put together several classes with facilitators that talk about the things we felt that businesses need to know to be more successful here in the county. And that's being done by our chamber, SBDC, our Clayton County Water Authority, and Central Services. So they are all course providers. Let's see, what are other bit of announcement? Clayton County Public Schools did officially close on the Sears building at South Lake Mall, which is great. And so that will begin some opportunities for local companies to bid on being a part of that project as they redevelop that building to make it a site and an arena site for hosting graduations for our Clayton County Public Schools, which I understand they were paying just shy of $500,000 a year to rent large facilities like Georgia World Congress Centers and others to graduate people. And so it'll be there, and it'll be used for other things as well to have revenue. So they got the Sears building and the parking. So it's about 9 acres, which is great. And that's going to do wonders for the mall, and they can feed off of each other, and which the mall is doing great. And we're seeing some uptick in those out parcels, finally getting the kind of traction we want, like hotels and other types of viable businesses in the retail space. So, yep, I just wanted to add that real quick. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Did I leave any department head out? I think I've hit everybody. Did anyone else have anything to say? Okay, great, great. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for just really taking time out of your day to come on and let us know what your thoughts are. This is extremely important to me because I have to move in an effort and in an order that is deemed sufficient by you all. So that's what I want to begin to do and always do. So I thank you all for coming out. Our next meeting will be December 11th. That is Saturday, December 11th, 2021. I want to make sure everyone has hopefully and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving season, but also, do we have any veterans online? I want to thank you all for serving and on this, and hopefully you had a great Veterans Day and a great Veterans Day weekend, but just thank you for all you all have done for our county and for our country. Any other remarks? Did I leave anything out? If not, I want to just say thank you all, and you all have a great weekend and a great holiday season.
You as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You, same to you,
Thank you.
Commissioner.